Hello and welcome to our commentary track for Army of Darkness. I'm Mike.
I'm Jay.
I am Rich Evans.
And that's Bruce Campbell's feet.
Oh my God.
And that's Bruce Campbell.
And his stump that is stuck in that thing, even though it makes no sense.
And he easily removed it.
Hi, I'm Sam Raimi, the director of The Evil Dead. I've invited to see my new movie. Oh, I don't believe this. Say you think this will scare the audience as much as the first one? Yeah, that's a safe bet. Oh, yeah, it's got a lot in it to grab the audience.
So we're watching Army of Darkness, and this is one of the worst movies ever made. Let's all make fun of this movie.
I don't know.
Well, you notice here the housewares department, like the sign placement and everything, looks different than it does at the end of the film, because this was a part of the original filming, and the ending was a reshoot.
Oh my God.
The redone ending. And that was Bridget Fonda for some reason.
She wanted to be in an Evil Dead.
I think she just, she's a fan. It would make sense. She ends up in A Simple Plan later. Sam Raimi put her in another movie. But I was going to say it would make sense if it was like Holly Hunter or something, because there was a period of time when like Sam Raimi and the Coen brothers and like Holly Hunter all lived in a house together, like when they were all starting out in Hollywood. But this is footage from Evil Dead 2. This opening recap of the first two Evil Dead movies is a combination of footage from Evil Dead 2 and reshot stuff. Like when he cuts his hand off, it's a reshoot because they didn't want it to be as bloody.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed watching this movie is that it has an R rating.
Yes.
It really shouldn't.
It shouldn't. They made it with the intention of it being PG-13, but for whatever reason, the ratings board just kept coming back with an R.
Oh, really?
And
I could think of one particular scene that makes it R, but because he says fuck once.
You can say fuck once in a PG-13.
Yes. He's like, get the fuck out of my way when he's coming back with the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Get the fuck out of my face.
I would venture to guess it's the fountain of human blood that gives it the R rating.
The fountain of Kool-Aid, you mean?
Yeah. And then they said, yeah, you can't show that.
I mean, I was a producer of the remake of Evil Dead. It's a really bloody movie. We sailed through the ratings. It's all a crock of shit. Anyway, this movie should be rated PG.
You know, my mother used to love horror movies, and she'd have us watch horror movies all the time. And I vaguely remember watching this with her as a kid, and she didn't know it was a sequel to Evil Dead 2. And we got to this, and she's like, oh, it's the guy from that movie.
Well, that's the most baffling thing, is that this movie, it wasn't produced by Universal Pictures. It was like picked up for U.S. distribution by Universal. But the idea that they thought they could market it as just like a standalone movie is so baffling.
Was there like just talks of calling it Evil Dead 3?
Well, I think Sam Raimi wanted to call it The Medieval Dead, which is very clever.
It is.
But no, it's just Army of Darkness. I think they kind of wanted it to sort of work as a standalone movie, but I mean, all this opening is just like, if it was just its own movie, this is all so baffling.
Sorry, I always hate that you could see those boards.
Oh, yeah.
That drives me nuts.
That was a shot from Evil Dead 2, and then we cut to this shot, which was shot for Army of Darkness, and like the color temperature is completely different. The location isn't the same at all.
That's right, the original ending, and then they what happens? They
a horrible flying hag monster flies in and
shoots
his head off.
It's like a truncated version of this opening.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, it's a truncated version of the whole movie, because then they're like, "Hail, he who's come from the sky."
Yeah, right.
And that kind of happens later in this.
He starts going, no. Yeah.
It's a great ending.
That's right. It's been a while since I've seen Evil Dead 2.
This is one of the most bizarre series of movies ever made, as far as none of them being similar in any way tonally.
Do people generally like this more than Evil Dead 2?
I think Evil Dead 2 is the most well-liked.
Yeah?
Well, it's the best.
It is.
But we're talking about Army of Darkness, but Evil Dead 2 is the best, in my opinion. But that's the thing, is like you have Evil Dead, which is super cheap and rough around the edges, but it's basically a straight horror movie. Mm-hmm. Evil Dead 2, which is like a weirdo horror comedy. And then this, which is more of like just an adventure slapstick comedy. There's not a whole lot of horror in this film.
This is the Gremlins 2 of the Gremlins series.
Yes.
It gets very Looney Tunes.
So does Evil Dead 2. Honestly,
it does,
but it still is a horror film.
Yeah.
This is just pure goofiness.
Well, the horror pretext has been dropped.
Yes.
There's no Three Stooges bit in Evil Dead 2, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
Technically, there is.
There is. Oh, what is that, Jay?
When the creature in the basement, when they stomp on its head and its eyeball pops out and it lands in the girl's mouth, that's directly from a Three Stooges movie. But it works as a horror sequence as well. A very silly one, but yeah. But this one is like goofy comical skeletons and poking him in the eyes. I mean, it's nonsense.
Before the Evil Dead, my friends and myself, just a group of school chums, and I would make Super 8 comedies, Three Stooges comedies.
Control yourselves. Listen, you hit a man with glasses, would you? Oh, my glasses. Let's see here. What? Ah! There they are. Yeah. Oh, my glasses. Oh, it's you, Paul. I'm glad I ran across you.
Why are the Three Stooges such an influence on you? What do you like about them? I like their physical comedy and their sound effects. You know, the hyper real shticks that they do, and they just make me laugh.
Wow, Europe really looks like Southern California. I guess they could be in like Spain or something, right?
Well, that's not very likely.
Now, I never noticed this until I watched this on Blu-ray, but Henry the Red, all of his men are gingers.
I don't think I ever noticed that either.
Yeah, like they're all redheads.
That's pretty funny.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. You gotta understand, man. I never even saw these assholes before.
I don't know why some of this stuff is just so funny. I think it's just performance.
As far as a comedic performance goes, this is my favorite Bruce Campbell performance.
Yeah.
As far as a physical performance, probably Evil Dead 2, when he's doing all the when his hand's possessed and he's flipping himself over in the kitchen and everything. But as far as just a straight, I mean, this is what kind of cemented the Bruce Campbell persona, the sort of cocky but also incredibly dumb, which is another interesting thing about this series, and that each iteration Ash just gets dumber. First movie is like college guy, second movie is a little silly, and then this is like nonsense, and then Ash versus Evil Dead, he's even dumber.
I don't know if I'd call him dumb so much as selfish and
overly cocky,
monstrous. Yeah.
Was Big Trouble in Little China an influence? It's similar, where you take like an action hero protagonist, but he's also kind of an incompetent boob.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of that. Sure.
I don't know if it was an intentional influence or not. This feels more. That's the weird thing about this movie. It's like this big adventure, time travel swashbuckling thing, and then Sam Raimi's just like, but then the lead will be Bruce Campbell.
Well, that's your gimmick.
The whole movie's a joke. Which is, again, why it's weird that, like, you kind of have to be in on the joke to get the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, did either of you see this in the theater?
I did.
You did? Oh, okay. I thought I might be the only one.
No, a friend of mine was into Evil Dead.
Oh, okay.
And Evil Dead 2. I think I saw this at the Dollar Show.
I mentioned it because my dad took me to see it because it was rated R, so I couldn't get in. And I was really excited to check it out. And at the end of the movie, he just goes, I don't know what the hell was happening in the entire movie.
That's pretty clear, though.
I think maybe it was the tone threw him off.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what is this? It's like nonsense.
What's the feeling I have? What's
Those girls were watching a scene from a horror film called Evil Dead 1, which broke all financial records in the cinema and as a home video when released 4 years ago. Yet it was attacked by some as being no more than a video nasty, and the Department of Public Prosecutions took court action to ban it. You still seem to have in that film an obsession with mutilating the human form. I mean, is that what's necessary these days to bring the thousands of people into the cinemas to watch that kind of movie?
Actually, Evil Dead is a story of demonic spirits, and it's really a battle of man versus monster.
Would you let your kids watch anything at all like this? Have you got any children?
And some of the gruesome, grotesque and gratuitous violence, simply for the sake of showing violence. Not only did it make me feel sick, but also it quite clearly is working away at people's sensitivities.
And that's what's crazy is like Universal tried to sell, because how I found out about this movie was through the trailer that said like from Sam Raimi, director of Darkman, and I liked Darkman, but I didn't know what this was. And then I read in Fangoria it was a sequel to these Evil Dead movies.
Did Darkman come out before this?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
A couple years before it. Which also makes this movie funnier because it's like, oh, Sam Raimi, a modest hit with Darkman, is going to follow it up with this Evil Dead sequel.
Take it down. Take it. Take the fucking elephant. Please, no. Forgive me.
Yeah, and then he shoots scenes like this with the arrow.
The camera's following the arrow.
And
Well, this is
he's sped up like cartoon. It's like
it's classic Sam Raimi stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I
fun.
I love shots like this where there's a lot of scenes like this where the camera moves and all these characters either come into frame. This just super long camera move. There's one where after he defeats everybody, or the bad guys, the camera's moving back and all these main characters are kind of stepping into frame one after the other.
Yeah.
There's really cinematic shots, and then there's slapstick nonsense.
Lock down the camera and throw rubber skeletons at Bruce Campbell.
Right. Or 10 minutes of slapstick with skeleton hands hitting him in the eyes. And Looney Tunes sound effects.
If you have it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't have it.
Why didn't Bruce Campbell become a bigger star? Obviously, he's big in the right circles.
Yeah, he's big in B-movie circles.
But he was never a big star. And why isn't that the case? He's funny as fuck.
I don't know. It just never really happened.
Is he a good actor?
Well, you don't put him in like serious dramatic roles. You find a goofy comedy and you put him in that.
Like a buddy cop movie kind of
Sure.
thing? Yeah, I guess.
Bruce Campbell starred in every Super 8 movie that we made because, very simply, he was the good-looking one and still is. So he said, the girls like you, we'll put you in front of the camera. The girls don't like us, we'll stay behind the camera. And
He's got like the leading man looks. Like he looks like an action star. Oh, look, you can see the woman's head on the side of the frame.
Oh, yeah.
You can see her hair a little bit there. This is a great little set, too.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see her laying down. Look at that. This movie's a mess.
It's terrible. I told you when this started. This is the worst movie.
It's true.
Oh my God, there's so many mistakes and bad things.
Well,
in
that's
this movie.
part of the. I mean, it's kind of like Martin Scorsese with his editing, where it's like he's not concerned about continuity. He's just concerned about the flow of the scene.
Yeah.
And Sam Raimi is just definitely doesn't care about continuity or little minor errors. It's all about just what works for the gag.
Make way! Strange one! Strange one!
See, now, like this, if you watch this as a standalone movie, that opening recap that tries to set everything up does not explain the chainsaw arm at all.
Well, the wizard finds it and holds it up.
But why it is fitted for his stump, none of it makes any sense.
Yeah.
Look at that great shot through the middle of the spikes.
He explains that he has to cut off his hand. That's explained in the recap.
Yeah, they explain that, but they don't explain why he has a chainsaw that fits right on there. This is a great monster. It's a shame it doesn't have any articulation.
That's true.
It's essentially a Halloween costume.
There's a Halloween store hand. Sticks to that guy's face.
Do you know who's in this monster costume?
I do not. Sam Raimi?
No.
Sam Raimi?
I don't know the actor's name, but it's the same guy that played the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh.
In Ghostbusters, yeah.
Wow.
When the time came, I heard, rolling, action, and come out, Monster Bill. That was my direction. And
Now! This is not a good thing!
so that was my performance.
Who wants some? Who's next? Huh? You.
You want a little? You want some?
Had either of you seen the other Evil Dead movies before this?
I did.
I did not.
Okay.
Again, I had a friend who was really into this, and they would always say, "Dead by Dawn, Dead by Dawn."
Yeah, I hadn't, like, I just saw the trailer for this before something, and I knew it was the guy who did Darkman, and that was all I knew. But then before it came out, I was reading in Fangoria, they had an article about it, and they mentioned that it was a sequel to the Evil Dead movies. So I was like, oh, before I see this, I gotta watch those other ones, I guess.
I just remember there was a moderate amount of hype around it.
There was? For this?
It depends on who you knew.
I guess, yeah, it depends on certain people, but I know this was like a giant bomb when it came out because nobody knew what the hell it was.
Universal was like, we don't want to call it Evil Dead 3. They didn't want any reference to the other two movies. And we're like, why? Why wouldn't you want that? No, new name. So Army of Darkness. People didn't even know it was Evil Dead 3. And there were lots of people who liked Evil Dead 1 and 2.
But I had a weekend like before we went and saw this where I rented the first two movies and watched them back to back. And it was a magical time. The Evil Dead trilogy kind of changed my life. This was like the series that made me kind of understand what a filmmaker was, because the style is so broad that it's like that was where I was like, oh, somebody made these decisions, like these shots and all the creativity and the weirdness is like somebody made this.
Sword boy!
The sword boy's job.
And then he just kicks him down. The pacing of this moment where he shoots the top of his sword off and then it cuts to all these different reaction shots and just like the shot of the flag. Like the pacing of it is all so perfect.
Yeah. All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick!
Listen up, you primitive screwheads. He has so many great lines in this, and that was like my youth, just repeating every line from this movie.
Yeah, this was, I may have seen this movie more than any other movie ever, because there was a period when it first came out on home video, I watched it like every day after school for like 6 months. This is one of those ones where I knew like every sound effect even. That's the fun of this, and that it becomes even more prominent in Ash vs. Evil Dead, is that he's a complete buffoon about everything except killing monsters. He's a badass when it comes to killing demons.
He's just a guy that wants to get home, Jay.
He's just a complete selfish asshole. Which, again, they build up even more in Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Relax, sweetheart. I'm not sticking my neck out for anybody. In fact, I'm just about to haul noogies.
Yeah, this scene particularly demonstrates that. Look at he's sitting on that.
It's funny too, like I think because this was like a reshoot. Like they didn't do this when they initially shot the movie. So if you look at Arthur's beard here, it's like glued on. It's like a cheap fake beard.
Yeah.
And this set's so tiny. I don't know if they shot it or if they ran out of money or what, but there was the comic book adaptation that was what the scene was originally supposed to be. There's like this big room with all these pillars, and the witch lady that comes up was like knocking the pillars, and they were going down like dominoes. Like it was this big elaborate thing. And here we just get like a 2-wall set.
It's fine.
It's like a high school play.
And that was shot like in a garage, like a car garage, like for 2 days. This is how resourceful Sam is. Like, we're all out of money, pal, so we're gonna have to shoot in this restroom. But just imagine, it's gonna be great. It's the castle. This is where King Arthur lives, in this restroom.
Did they not shoot that scene? They just ran out of money?
I don't know. It was kind of unclear. I think they like just ran out of money or something and they didn't shoot it. But that was the original idea for the scene, and then they ended up filming it later.
And we actually built the miniature model. We shot most of the plates for it. We did some of the crumbling of the plates, but we couldn't really actually add the stage time into that whole scene.
Just send me back to my own time, pronto, today.
And snap zoom.
Yeah, a classic hag, Evil Dead hag monster.
You shall die.
And this witch lady is Patricia Tallman, who is like an actress and stunt person. And she started with like George Romero's camp. She was in like George Romero's Knight Rider, and she played Barbara in the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Oh!
Yeah. I think she was cast in this as more of a stunt performer, but I think she was on like Babylon 5 as like a regular character. One of those types of shows.
Babylon 5's a big pile of shit.
Get out!
Yay!
It's a trick. Get an axe.
Now here's a continuity thing. She's facing away from him, but now when we pan up and we cut to this wide shot, she pops up from behind him.
It's fine.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's great, but again, it doesn't matter.
She's a demon.
Yeah.
This is great though. This frantic like handheld camera.
Yeah.
It's just so comical.
This is terrible commentary because I'm just watching this and smiling.
That's
Which
true.
is just, it's fucking awful for a commentary track.
I love when Sam Raimi does these things though, where there's like a whole sequence where every shot is kind of done in this like one particular, like this one. Every shot has that. It's not like crazy Michael Bay shaky cam.
No,
it's following the shot. It's just jittery until the sequence, until the sequence is done, and then when it's done, we get a lockdown shot like this.
Yeah, it's not like action movie exciting. It's almost there's a specific.
It's like
style.
the scene has too much energy, and so the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's another one where every shot is a snap zoom for this little sequence.
this is
where he makes the nonsensical robot arm.
I hate the robot arm.
I was disappointed because I was like, oh, I want him to have the chainsaw through the whole movie, and it never really comes back.
I know why.
Sure.
Yeah. So he doesn't have to have a stump the whole movie. And they indicate here it could crush a goblet, but then he never really uses it for its crushing powers.
No.
This man is an engineering genius. Why does he work at S-Mart?
Don't touch that, please. Your primitive intellect wouldn't understand alloys and compositions and things with molecular structures in the...
But I love this scene, rewatching it the other day. It was like, it's the scene where they have their bond, they have a little fight, they make up.
Yeah.
But it's so like shortened and almost self-aware.
Oh yeah.
They
don't make up. He just walks up to her and they start kissing.
Exactly. He's like, give me that.
They don't bond over anything in particular.
No, right. It's what would be a longer scene in a movie with more dialogue and more gravity and characterization.
They get to know each other.
Yeah.
His fiance died yesterday.
That's true. I made this for thee. I need another horse blanket. And she slaps him, and then he says, give me some sugar.
Give me some sugar, baby.
It's like Sam Raimi knew the scene had to happen.
Yeah.
But he just didn't want to write a whole scene.
Yeah.
So he just wrote like 4 lines.
It's a joke. The whole movie is a joke.
Yeah.
And you're either in on it or you're not.
It's bordering on like a Naked Gun scene. You know what I mean? Now, what's the story with this castle? Is that a miniature or a matte painting or what?
I think it's a miniature, but I'm not positive. I mean, it's clearly composited in, but yeah, I don't know exactly what it is.
It's that castle in Southern California.
Oh, yeah.
Here we are.
Speaking
Vasquez
of
Rocks.
Yeah, this is the famous Vasquez Rocks, which is most well known from being in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. There's nothing else.
Nothing else. This is where Kirk fought the Gorn. Rich knows that, though.
Even I know that.
I don't even need to say that.
Well, Ian Abercrombie was on Star Trek, right? That guy has to have been on Star Trek at some point.
Probably. Everybody's been on fucking Star Trek.
He's been on Star Trek.
I think we've heard enough of your lies, Tommy boy. I say we tie them up to the lampposts in the square and show them how spirit folk were dealt with in the olden days.
I know him as Mr. Pitt, Elaine's boss on Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
When thou retrievest the book from its cradle, you must recite the words.
Push the whopper button. Push the whopper button.
Okay. Well, repeat them.
Yeah, look at Bruce Campbell's hair in this scene. It's like twice as long.
Yeah.
I got it. I know your damn words, all right?
Here we get some more kind of moody Evil Dead stuff. Someone has a smoke machine just off camera.
No! R2! What are you doing? Watch that, will you?
Honestly, this is where the movie kind of falls apart for me.
Oh, yeah. The second act's bad.
Yeah, the second act's terrible.
We'll talk about that.
Oh, there's lots of fun stuff in this second act.
Yeah, but the fun stuff, though, with the whole premise of him going back into time, is him interacting with people from the past. And
That's true.
You have this whole section in the middle of the movie where he's just on his own.
See, my favorite stuff in Evil Dead 2 is when he's by himself and just going crazy in the cabin, and it's just like the Bruce Campbell show.
Sure, but you can watch Evil Dead 2 for that.
Yeah.
I think these scenes just kind of waste the premise.
Yes, I agree with Rich.
That's fair.
And then this feels like the second act needed Evil Dead stuff, like this, like the camera following,
famous Evil Dead point of view shots.
Yeah, and then the banging on the door and all, and then I hate the little ashes.
I like the idea behind them, but the execution of it is.
I openly hate that whole sequence of the movie.
Oh my god!
I do.
Too silly? Did he take it too far?
Too wrong for this movie, for what this movie should be.
Yeah, his quest needed to find the book needed a couple scenes with him going to things you've seen in medieval movies.
He needed
right?
a posse with him of
Sure.
like Arthur and
Robin and
else.
his merry men kind of thing.
Yeah.
We've got to go to this village.
Maybe all these little obstacles he has to face along the way to the main. Yeah.
What's a trope from?
Oh, jeez.
He's got a battle a night, a jousting tournament.
You really put me on the spot. Some kind of wizard asking him riddles.
Okay, a guy at a bridge asking, like, what's in the fucking Monty Python movie, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's the guy who gets all of his limbs cut off, or he's guarding the bridge or whatever.
Right. Yes. He needs the three.
Or Deathstalker 2, when Deathstalker has to get in a wrestling match with the woman from Glow.
There you go. Yeah, this sort of seems like they wanted to recreate some of this weird stuff.
I understand why they'd want to do that, because Evil Dead 2 is arguably the best movie ever made.
And yet we're here doing the commentary for Army of Darkness instead.
I mean, declaring any movie your favorite is always silly because your favorite movie can change depending upon your mood, but
Sure.
Evil Dead 2, it's in the mix there for me.
Oh, yeah. That's fair. I do like he almost says it sarcastically when he wakes up and he's like, what a horrible nightmare. Like the whole situation is just too stupid.
This Looney Tunes stuff, I don't know. These large scale miniature sets are kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as an isolated sequence, this is kind of fun, even though the effects, the compositing is not great at all. Just be thankful we're watching the U.S. theatrical cut, because the international cut, this is like twice as long.
Oh, no.
They drop a bucket on his head, and there's some slapstick with that.
So, Gulliver's Travels thing, right? Then,
yeah.
I guess the point of the...
Oh, look at those wires. Oh, man, HD has not done this movie kind. You can see the little mat around where the thing jumps into his mouth.
Yeah. Well, I'm holding his nose. Look terrible. The effects in this movie are not good. but that's not the point.
Some of them are fun. It's not like Evil Dead 2 where all the effects are... It's like the perfect use of everything, of like stop motion and creature effects. And this one, I think they got a little too... I mean, I'm fine with them going ambitious because that kind of makes the movie funnier.
So here he's pouring boiling hot water down his throat to burn the guy, but he does not burn his mouth. I used to always think like, oh, that's how the evil Ash got his face fucked up. He got burnt in the stomach, and then I always forget. Then he comes out normal.
Shoots him in the face with a shotgun.
Shot in the face with a shotgun.
I like the shot coming up here.
Yeah,
the eyeball.
It's so gross. Oh, God.
But then instead of any sort of effect to see the thing growing out of him, just ADR line where he says it's getting bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Do you suppose Universal was watching like the dailies of this and just thinking, oh, God, what have we done?
Well, this wasn't made by Universal.
They just distributed
it. It was they picked it up after it was already made. But the fact that they watched the finished movie and said, we can sell this, is pretty amazing.
Turn it off!
No, Sam Raimi made this in his backyard, Rich. This front on the weekend.
I think Universal was maybe hoping that because Darkman was a decent success, that maybe they could get more of that audience. Yeah, I like in Evil Dead 2, the more, like when his reflection comes out of the mirror and he's like tormenting himself. It's a little more psychological. This is just goofiness. And that rubber tree just completely wiggled when he hit it.
No, the force of the impact was so severe that
it ripped the roots.
It rocked a normal tree.
Okay, sure. I always used to say, why doesn't he have a line right before he shoots him in the face? Because he's saving it.
I ain't that good. Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
And here's a recreation of the Evil Dead 2 scene.
Yeah.
This is more in line with the tone.
Yeah.
This particular series of shots. Certainly not Little Ash's.
Yeah, I guess Ash cuts him up here. They kind of got rid of the idea that you have to completely dismember them in this movie, because all the demons he's killed so far at this point, he just kind of shoots them.
Well, that's pretty painstaking.
Well, that was part of the whole mythology in the other movies.
I think peasants just come in later and they hack the bodies up.
Oh, okay. We just don't see that.
Yeah, we don't see it.
That's fair. And he always builds crosses in all these movies. I never understood it.
Oh, at their graves?
Yeah.
I think it's just to indicate that he's buried them in a grave.
Sure.
Well, it becomes a great joke in Ash versus Evil Dead.
That's right, yeah. They make a joke about that.
You know they were Jewish, right?
I did not. Wish you could have said something before I made those dumb crosses, but...
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. We should talk about the music. The music's amazing in this movie.
We're listening to it with the sound off. I can't even fucking hear it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, main theme by Danny Elfman, and then the rest of the score is Joe LaDuca, who's done all these movies. See, this is kind of what you're talking about, where he has to have his little challenges.
Yeah.
It's a bit questy, but we need some interactions.
Sure. Not spend the last 15 minutes completely by himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
It's fine. This is.
I think it could be better. It's fine.
Rich and I just hate the windmill. Okay?
It's just
the
all that
windmill
stuff.
and everything to do with it.
That's fair.
It's a small portion of the movie.
Yeah.
It has a great first act and a great last act.
A really great first act, though.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's definitely the strongest stuff in the movie.
Everything's perfect about it. The battle's epic. There are some problems.
You got to put epic in quotes.
There's a great makeup appliance, though.
Yeah.
That's not his real face being stretched?
No. That there is.
Now, I know there's the international cut where this goes on a little bit longer. In this truncated U.S. cut, it's actually funnier how he's shaking his head and just hard cut to him. I think it's after this one where he just starts talking. I vividly remember seeing this in the theater and everybody laughing at the movie at that point.
How do you know what they were laughing at?
It's possible they were in on the joke, but I don't think so.
I think you're supposed to laugh at this movie.
No, you laugh at movies that aren't aware of how ridiculous they are.
Well, this movie is.
This movie's aware of how ridiculous it is. So you're laughing with it.
Okay. Well, you said the audience was laughing at it.
I think the audience that I saw it with was laughing at it.
Like they thought it was supposed to be serious.
Like they didn't know what they were getting into.
Yeah, I guess.
Which is why this movie was a big flop. I don't like the new look of the Necronomicon in this, though.
And why is that?
I don't know. It looks too clean. I like the janky Evil Dead 2 book. This one looks too it looks too constructed. Like the whole idea is that it was like bound in human flesh, and here it looks like somebody like sculpted that cover as opposed to just being a face that's awkwardly stretched over the front of it.
I remember you had a version of this movie that was made from the Necronomicon. You did, Jay? It was like
no, I had Evil Dead 2.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
It was foam latex, and it just started falling apart.
That thing was like a gimmick. The thing was not built to last. They had one for Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
How much did they charge for it?
I don't remember. This was like 15 years ago.
They got his money though.
I don't know if any series of movies has been re-released more than these three.
Did you mean the Book of the Dead edition or the Ultimate Edition DVD?
What's the difference?
Or maybe you were talking about the limited edition Blu-ray.
Is that all the same movie?
Or did you mean the limited edition tin of Evil Dead 2? Or there's also the 25th anniversary Blu-ray of Evil Dead 2.
What?
Or maybe you were talking about the Book of the Dead edition of Evil Dead 2. Don't get me started on Army of Darkness.
Why do you have all those?
Because my life is an empty shell.
Push the Whopper.
I've seen the real thing in real life.
Oh my God! When?
Did I ever tell my Tom
Sullivan?
Tom Sullivan story
I don't
in any of our
think so.
programmings? So is it early 2000, mid 2000s, early 2000s, 2004.
Yeah.
I think I was at the Phoenix Horror Convention. It was
The
like
famous Joe Pilato convention.
The famous Joe Pilato convention. This was a convention. It was the first annual horror convention in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was very well it was mismanaged, where they didn't advertise it well, and they had like 50 big horror movie stars, and like 100 people came over like 2 days. So literally, there was just rows and rows of famous horror people. I could list them all here, but it'll take too long. I got to tell them a story, and the Tom Sullivan story. And I just bought a new camera. It was a Canon Digital Rebel. I was taking pictures of everything. I've lost all these photos, by the way.
That's unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate because we walked around and we took pictures with everybody. Stars of Dawn of the Dead. Stuart Gordon was there. Dee Wallace. Everybody. The who's who of horror movies was there, and Tom Sullivan.
Jenny, all the stars are here.
It's true.
Beardy Man, Claude Racine, Dax Flame.
Tom Sullivan, the artist who created all the drawings in the Evil Dead book and the book itself.
Movie.
From the original movie, yeah. And he was there, and he had a little station. He does his own original art, and I took pictures of everything. I took pictures of all of his stuff and how it was laid out, because I was just bored. And at one point, he starts like freaking out, and we're like, "What's wrong with him?" You know, and then it turns out that he was having a panic attack because someone had stolen one of the pages from the Evil Dead book, and it was the page with the skull.
That's the most iconic one.
The most iconic one, and because he had them all laid out on this table,
Yeah.
and for people to look at. So then the police show up because he called the cops.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm like, what's going on with Tom Sullivan? They're like, he called the cops. Someone stole a page from the Necronomicon. And he's like, and I was like, I just took pictures of it. And so I took my camera and I used the AV outs and I plugged it into a TV that we had at our table. And I start cycling through all my pictures. And Tom Sullivan comes over and the cops are there. And they're like, what page was it? And he's watching, Tom Sullivan's watching, and he's like, it's that one. That's the missing page. And it was the skull page. And the cop's like, so a page with the skull on it got stolen. They didn't have Brooklyn accents. I'm adding it. And he's like, yeah. And then so the cop takes out his like cop thing that he writes on, like his notepad, and he starts drawing what it looks like on his notepad. He's like just for their own records of what was stolen. And I'm like, okay, the artist who drew the skull is right there. But the cop is drawing the skull on his cop pad. It was very like weird. And then I start cycling through and I have a wider shot of how all the pictures are arranged. And then he goes over and he goes, wait a minute. And he runs back to his table and he just finds it underneath a different thing. He's like, I moved it under here.
Oh my God.
And then all the police just go, oh, we could have been solving real crimes. And then they left.
Like you solved the mystery.
And then everyone was like, you're like a detective. Yeah. They're like, you. And so Tom Sullivan, he grabbed a print of something and he signed it on the bottom. He said, you rock, Tom Sullivan. And he gave it to me.
He should have given you the actual page from the book.
Yes.
You earned it.
But
at least one of the lesser pages. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I was like, who would have stolen it? There's nobody here. Except for Joe Pilato in his bathrobe. Okay, now half the movie's over.
That's true.
No, that was worth it.
Okay.
This always bothered me, the continuity of Ash's close-up to this wider shot, because his hair doesn't match at all. If you look at the close-ups, it's very like matted. It's all wet, but it's like matted down. And then the wide shot, it's yeah, look at that.
Oh.
And then every time it cuts to the medium shot of him, it's completely different.
It's fine.
It's just something I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just something I always notice. Yeah, see, look, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Who was in charge of continuity on this film?
The continuity was just ridiculous of what happens to him in this scene, in that scene. We would jump ahead and think that's what Ash would look like. But then when we shot it, that wasn't at all how it came out. So, the continuity in those movies is really all over the place.
Yeah, I remember Bruce Campbell felt like a big movie star to me because I was into this stuff at the time. And then when I realized that he wasn't a real movie star was when he became a regular supporting character on Ellen DeGeneres' sitcom. He owned the bookstore that she worked at or something. I barely remember now, but I was like, oh, that's Bruce Campbell.
His string of failed TV shows didn't clue you in?
I'm trying to think because he did like Briscoe County. I think that was before he was on Ellen.
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades was right around that same era. They kept trying. They kept trying to make him a TV star, and it just never worked.
Strange that it never worked because he is a funny motherfucker.
Yeah, he's charismatic. He's funny. Around the time this movie was made, like he looks like a leading man. It just never happened. I know Sam Raimi wanted him to play Darkman, and the studio. I guess the studio didn't demand they wanted someone more famous because Liam Neeson
Well, that's
wasn't.
probably for the best because Liam Neeson's great.
He is good in that movie, but I when it gets to the very end and it's Bruce Campbell because he puts on a mask when he's leaving the building at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
I just always wished that it was him through the whole movie.
And then, I think I may have mentioned this before, I went around and I was going to get all the signatures on my Dawn of the Dead VHS tape, which I think we used as a prop in something. We showed it. And I got Ken Foree to sign it. And even though there was no one there, Ken Foree didn't even look at me. I gave him $25 to his handler or his son or something, and he signed it. And he was having a conversation with someone. He signed it, and he didn't even look at me. I was like, "Oh, money, money, money." And then I went and I got Galen Ross's signature, and who's the other guy?
Scott something is his real name. Yeah.
Yes, I got his signature, and they were all $25 each. And then I was going to get the helicopter pilot. And then I just said, what am I doing? like, why am I spending my money on this? And so I stopped. So I have an autographed DVD with 3 out of 4 main characters.
Doesn't that bother you now, though? That's not complete?
It really doesn't. I'm okay with it.
That's fair.
I had a little moment where I said, what am I doing? Why is that shot so distorted? Is that just
they did some
stylistic?
sort of I mean, it was a stylistic choice, but it looks like they had an anamorphic lens on and didn't squeeze it.
Yeah, right. It looks like a incorrect aspect ratio,
and it's completely pointless. I don't know why they're there.
Yeah, they have 2 like slave women for 1 second
that never show up in the rest of the movie.
Well, just find out who one of the producers on the film was, and you'll know why they were there.
Was it Harvey Weinstein?
Little Harvey Weinstein.
That's what got him in trouble.
That was his first picture.
Oh, there's Ted Raimi on the left.
Oh, yeah.
One of his many roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's another Sam Raimi thing where it's just this one brief little bit where it's just whipping to every character for their line.
They're panicking.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't want to die. Because then it's, the panic is ended with this epic hero shot.
Yeah.
Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.
Oh my God, mama. I love how he talks to them like in modern day slang.
Yeah.
And it's he just doesn't care.
Like at the beginning when he says, your shoelace is untied.
Yeah.
You know your shoelace is untied.
I think he's too stupid to realize they won't know what he's talking about.
It may be, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of his arrogance. Like he's not even thinking about it.
Or he just doesn't care. I don't know. That's part of the charm,
Yeah.
He doesn't start saying stuff about like honor and, whatever. Like someone from the Dark Ages might like understand. What are you going to do? Run home to your mama and cry?
There's Ted Raimi again. He's a different character.
I'll stand by ya. This was an impression I used to always do. with the eyebrow raise.
You can count on my steel.
Count on my steel.
Oh, hold up my arms with your...
Now we're just ADRing the movie.
Oh, yeah. I'll bend my bow to your will, sir.
I always like this piece of music for this montage here. I used to use this in a lot of my old movies I made when I was a kid.
Like, this score is great. It's almost too good for this movie.
Yeah. Well, it's the score you would have for an actual, like, swashbuckling adventure movie.
Yeah. I think this is another introduction of the Army of the Dead as a good example of when the camera's moving around. I may be bad, but I feel
this is a pretty cringy line. I mean, I know the movie's got lots of corny stuff, but this line in particular always bugged me.
I may be bad, but I feel good.
Yes,
and I'm Beth David's here is like a real actress, making her say this stupid crap.
Maybe bad. I think that's what I love so much about this movie. It just doesn't care at all.
And it's like a relatively, at least for Sam Raimi at the time, big budget movie.
Yeah,
like you're making this, medieval castle, sword movie, and it's just complete nonsense.
It has no artistic pretensions. It just
no.
wants to have
Well,
fun.
that's Sam Raimi in a nutshell. Sam Raimi kind of got his start with the Coen brothers. Like, one of them edited Evil Dead, and they've worked together on and off over the years. And there's this interview. I have this book of filmmaker interviews, and the interviewer was asking him about that. Like, how do you feel about the Coen brothers are now like these, critical darlings, and they're doing these, Academy Award-winning movies, and you're making like schlock. And he's like, I don't care. I'm just trying to please an audience.
I wanted it to be the ultimate picture of entertainment. To thrill, chill, make the audience laugh, cry, scream.
Like, he's like the least pretentious filmmaker. He doesn't think of himself as an artist. He just makes what he wants.
I like that little bit where he scooches the candle over. And this training sequence is also like a joke. Like,
he teaches them that one move.
Yeah. And then they use it later.
And then they use it.
Like, grown men who are part of an army don't know who, he, and they're just like, it's like again, it's like the training montage sequence. They just slapped it together.
Yeah.
This is it. This is all we're going to do for it.
The whole point of the movie is just to get to Bruce Campbell throwing around rubber skeletons. That's all that matters.
Oh, here's
this is all fun stuff.
This is I
think Danny Elfman's music for this scene, but they're all playing these wind instruments, even though none of them have lungs.
Yes.
Some of them have beards.
It's fine.
It's great.
Was Evil Dead 2 the first modern horror comedy? Other than obviously like Abbott and Costello Meet the Wolfman.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's like different levels of horror comedy, because like American Werewolf in London is a horror comedy, but that's like the horror in that is treated seriously. It just says like situational comedy. I mean, Evil Dead 2 is like completely goofy in its horror. So I don't know. I'm not sure when Reanimator came out. It's right around the same era.
Yeah.
You couldn't call or write a note.
I was busy pushing bodies around, as you well know. And what would a note say, Dan? Cat dead, details later.
Do you think Peter Jackson watched this for tips?
I remember seeing The Two Towers in the theater and being reminded of Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Obviously a much different type of movie, but you can see that guy's eyes in the mask.
Yeah.
No, Jay, that skeleton still has eyeballs.
It's an homage to the Evil Dead 2 poster.
That man died wearing a skeleton mask, and he just got resurrected.
Oh, okay.
Like he died like a week ago.
Then you got to worry about like the extras running off and doing weird things. And
we caught 2 extras having sex inside the castle. Because if you walk past those lights, it was the desert. There was nothing happening. So we found 2 guys having sex.
My lord, we have possession on both fronts.
This guy on the right there is Bill Moseley, who is in all the Rob Zombie movies, and he was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Bring me forth into thy castle. I hear this little puppet can barely stay on the horse. I love it. It's just ready to fall. They're just watching. Oh God, don't fall, don't fall.
That's one of those things where I'm picturing Sam Raimi behind the camera just laughing his head off.
Yeah.
Everybody knows and nobody cares because it's fun.
Bob and I would meet with Sam in the morning. We'd look through the boards and there'd be like a shot of Ash, and in the frame was like 4 deadites. And I went, okay, there's 4 deadites here. So how many do you want in that shot? How many do we have, buddy? I've got like 175. 175, please. Okay, turn to the next page. Okay, here's a shot of Ash fighting evil Sheila. In the background, there's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 deadites. How many should we play on? What do we have again? We've got 175. Yeah, probably should be 175, buddy.
You see a lot of the springboards when people blow up here.
Yeah.
Coming up.
When they
You see like
flying.
one trying to run away and you completely see the board that shoots him into the air.
Yeah. Oh!
Like you can see what's happening from back where he is.
Now here's where we start getting into stop motion.
Yeah, how do you feel about the stop motion?
It's fine.
I feel like if there's not if you're going to do it, do more of it, elaborate on it more.
The entire army needed to constantly be just all stop motion skeletons.
It's obviously there's all the springboards. It's obviously kind of a nod to Jason and the Argonauts, which is all stop motion. So yeah, go all the way with it.
There's a mix, or you can see clearly there are guys in costumes running.
Yeah.
And they always used to bother me. Then the other ones, the ones that in close up are just on tracks, just in front of the camera.
I can't get too hung up on that for Army of Darkness.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously something you can shrug off in such a goofy movie, but I always think about that. Like, they tried to layer them in some of the wide shots where it's like the full skeletons are in the foreground, guys in like skeleton costumes are a little farther away, and then guys in just Halloween masks are way in the back of the shots.
Yeah. There's a mixture.
Yeah, here's where they try to justify it by having kind of a combination of the two.
It's all right. I like stuff like this.
Yeah.
These shots look
You
great.
just got a puppet right in the foreground.
Well, it's sillier. It's so obviously a puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's so obviously a guy in a costume.
Yeah, but not as funny as the puppets.
No. Oh, here's the hoo-ha.
It pays off. All the skeletons just stop so they can do it.
They knocked the first row down.
And that's it.
That's it.
And here we get the famous car. The Oldsmobile that's been in every Sam Raimi movie. I remember when I saw, because I loved Sam Raimi so much, and then he did the first Spider-Man movie, and I was like, oh, that's great that he's doing a big movie. And then seeing Uncle Ben's car was the Evil Dead car. I was like, that's a wonderful little nod. I'm glad that he's continued that.
Mm-hmm.
And continued to work with the same people, like the famous train scene in Spider-Man 2. The Hick from Evil Dead 2 is on that train. All the way up to his Wizard of Oz movie. There's one shot in that where it's all the 3 ladies from the original Evil Dead are in it for one shot.
What Wizard of Oz movie?
Oh, you don't remember his famous hit film, Oz the Great and Powerful? I hope he makes another film so that's not his final theatrical movie.
The James Franco one?
Yeah.
He hasn't made a movie since that?
No. That James Franco movie, that's a remake of this movie. We talk about that in our discussion for it. It's like the same story, basically.
I have no memory.
That's completely fine. He did direct the pilot for Ash vs. Evil Dead, which was great. That had some classic Sam Raimi stuff in it.
I'll put it on the list.
Bruce Campbell's obviously too old to do some of the physical comedy stuff, but it's still the same persona.
There's still some of the physical comedy stuff.
A little bit of it.
Yeah.
He can't do like the Evil Dead 2 flipping himself over.
No.
I remember he directed a movie called The Man with the Screaming Brain, which apparently Bruce Campbell directed it, and he'd been trying to get it made for. Oh wait, we're gonna miss the Kurlan
People
Neskar.
throw skeletons at
They
him.
don't. They're not articulated. It's
No.
someone off camera just throwing a skeleton at him.
That makes it funnier.
I know, it's great. I'd be curious the origin of that sound effect. Like, you can pinpoint the origin of the Wilhelm scream. That's why it's called the Wilhelm scream, because of what it's originally from. But what was the first thing to use that pottery break sound effect? Somebody out there, do some research and find this out for us.
Seymour, what's going on down there? Very little, Mr. Mushnick.
It's a weird quality to it.
Yeah.
Where it
Well,
has-
it's very distinct.
Very distinct, yes.
The best use of it is, of course, in Wet Hot American Summer, where they use that same sound effect like 20 times.
Yeah.
But that Man with the Screaming Brain movie that Bruce Campbell directed, and he stars in it, and he tries to do some of the physical stuff, but he's just a little too old, and it's a little awkward, and it was kind of depressing. So I'm glad that they didn't try and have him do too much of that in the new show, and it focuses more on his personality and his kind of cocky.
I remember seeing him on a panel at a convention, and he was, when are you going to do? Every other question is, when are you going to do more Evil Dead movies?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just his canned response, but he's just like, I'm too old.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get up in the morning. And he's just like making all these excuses.
Oh, sure. I mean, I think he probably thought he was done with it at that point because he was getting older, but then they worked that into the show, so it's fine. The beginning of the show is him strapping himself into a girdle to go out and pick up chicks.
Yeah. Look good. Looking sweet.
What network, what app do I have to get to watch this?
Stars.
Stars?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can just borrow my Blu-rays. How about that?
Oh, okay. Then they don't make any money off me.
The book is mine.
Is that, this is a stupid question, is that Bruce Campbell's voice as a doppelganger, like bad guy?
It is until he comes back as just a skeleton, and then it's Sam Raimi for some reason.
I got a bone to pick with you.
Oh. Okay, but that's not Bruce Campbell in the costume.
It is. Yeah.
It is. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked by that.
Yeah, no, that's him.
Now, Bruce, in this scene, I want you to act very scary, but not too scary. Just the right amount, if you know what I mean. Oh, and put that special dark humor edge on it that you're so good at.
Let me try it, Sam.
All right, then.
Hey, you bony devil.
That's another thing they just kind of brush over, is he just stabbed her through the stomach and threw her off the top of the castle, and then at the end of the movie, she just turns normal again and is alive.
It's fine.
He killed the evil spirit within her.
But he stabbed her through the stomach and threw her off the top of a castle.
All said and done, pretty good sword fight.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
As goofy as this movie is, I always thought this was a decent little action scene. And here you have all the music drop out.
Yep.
Sam Raimi's always been good about that, like when to use music and when to just not have any music. Here's Ted Raimi again, now with an eye patch. Yeah, now for some reason, he's just a complete skeleton, and it's voiced by Sam Raimi.
Because Sam Raimi is Bruce Campbell's ultimate antagonist.
That's true. It's very true.
And Sam loves to torture Bruce. Like, he loves torturing him. So with Bruce just boom, 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 beating Bruce up, and I think finally Bruce went, all right, Sam, I've had enough. We've got it, pal. He's like, all right, buddy, you're a good sport, pal.
It's not the proper sword type for that era, I don't think.
My immersion is ruined.
Yeah, the movie is ruined.
It's like a machete or something. Although they never really established where they are. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they have Arthur, but it's not like the King Arthur. Yeah. He's just named Arthur. Yeah, she's just okay.
Because the evil has been defeated, Jay.
Did that repair all of her injuries?
Just deal with it.
It makes it funnier when he abandons her so he can go to work at S-Marks.
Yeah, that's true. Why bring her back at all if he's just going to leave her in the next scene?
No, he's a jerk. He's selfish, but he knows when to make the right decisions.
You mean when he becomes less interesting?
Right.
I know Bruce Campbell said in the commentary track for this that he wanted his character to be hiding somewhere for the entire last act.
That would have been good.
Sam wanted, at one point, Ash to lead with a group of children out to the front of the castle, open the gates, and all the Deadites are astounded. They're all, huh? They all look, and Ash comes out with flowers with all the children. They want it's a peace offering. And then eventually the Deadites turn, and so Ash has to run back into the castle and close the doors, and all the children are stuck on the outside of the castle. Thankfully, we talked him out of that one as well. But
I guess that's kind of similar to like Big Trouble in Little China, where half of the climax of the movie, Kurt Russell's passed out.
The book tells us that once you drink this liquid and recite the words, Clatu verata nicto, thou shalt awaken in thine own time.
Now here we have some ADR to set up the reshot ending. I'm assuming you've both seen the original intended ending.
Which do you prefer? What is the best ending?
This U.S. theatrical cut ending is more entertaining.
Yeah.
The original ending is appropriate for Ash as a character.
Yeah.
I like both of them. I don't know if I could pick. Although if you want to go with like canon, this is the canon ending because it leads into Ash versus Evil Dead.
Isn't the original ending just too much of a rehash of Evil Dead 2's ending, though? I mean, it's basically the same joke.
Kinda, except I mean, in that he's surrounded by people that are now worshiping him, and
right
in the post-apocalypse, he's just completely alone because he fucked up. He slept too long.
Does it say how long he slept for?
He slept. Each drop that he has to take is like 100 years or something. And he takes one too many, so he wakes up 100 years later than he's supposed to.
A post-apocalyptic Ash versus Evil Dead would have been a cool movie.
Yeah. There's Ted Raimi again.
But then we don't get one of the best lines in the movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hail to the king, baby.
What video game character just ripped off all of his lines?
Oh, Duke Nukem.
Is that Duke Nukem?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hail to the king, baby.
How did they get away with that? Just blatantly stealing.
Yeah.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
And I'm all out of gum.
Can you copyright lines? Can you copyright Hail to the King, baby?
I don't know. I mean, if there's multiple lines that all come from the same source, it feels like you should have a case. But
you can't copyright Groovy.
Yeah. That's true.
Lady, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store.
Who the hell are you?
Name's Ash. Housewares.
This is another moment where he does like an action thing that doesn't make any sense, where he throws the gun up in the air for no reason. just so he can catch it again because it looks cool. Jumps on the cart.
He throws it ahead of himself. It's like
for what they're doing, it's great.
It goes on just the right amount.
It's the end. It's
Does she bounce on a trampoline at some point?
I think she already did.
Oh,
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is almost like, oh, you want us to reshoot the ending to make it happier? Well, we're going to do this. And it's just like ridiculous.
And there he's wearing his Ash costume.
Yeah. I don't know why that became his like official outfit. It's not always the same shirt, but it's always like a blue shirt and brown pants.
That's quite the complicated blue shirt. There's always buttons all over.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
How would you recognize him if he wasn't wearing a blue shirt and brown pants?
Because he's Bruce Campbell? I also love that Sam Raimi wrote this with his brother, who's not a professional screenwriter. He's like a doctor or something. He just wrote it with him, because why not? So that was... I almost said Evil Dead 2. Why didn't we talk about Evil Dead 2?
It's like Return of the Jedi. The first chunk is all in Jabba's palace, and it's like most of the movie.
Yeah.
Then they're on Endor for a little bit, and then the rest is the battle.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of what this is like. There's a big scene in the beginning that's like 20 minutes of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Then, crap in the...
Crap in the middle.
The little ashes.
There's a windmill.
There's a windmill.
There's the windmill crap and the little ashes, and then now we're into the big battle, and that's the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Sam Raimi. I'm the director of such movies as Evil Dead, Crime Wave, Mort sur la Grille, Evil Dead 2, and most recently, Darkman. Maybe you've heard about them. When I'm shooting a movie, I just don't have time to massage my scalp with hair lotions. It's not the type of conduct that one would assume in a major motion picture production. You just don't do that. This attitude is irresponsible. So if you're the witness to this scene...
Même quand je dirige un film, je trouve toujours le temps le matin pour ma lotion pétrolane. Je tiens trop à mes cheveux.
I will not betray the Republic. You know, my loyalties, so that you're turning on, but I have rewritten, I spent the whole weekend rewriting the scene between you and Palpatine. Where you turn.
Yeah.
And when I shoot, I have 2 cameras, A camera and B camera.
Pellicule, c'est pas pour moi.
Right to the foundation against directors who don't do shit on their shoot.
As James Cameron, Sam Raimi, and Luc Besson of Le Grand Bleu subscribe to the Foundation against directors who don't do shit on their shoot right now.
If the Darkman segment was short, here's a little more. Thank you for your attention.